All right, it's 11 o'clock. This is a discussion of the proposed contract between the county and the port as the designated associate development organization and related topics. And we've added a discussion of the contract with Ted for their services. I'm going to turn this over to the commissioner that has been driving this forward, Commissioner Smiley, and let you take it away.
Yeah, and just to clarify, we're discussing the awarding of the 09 funds, which is in addition to the ADO designation. Just to bring everybody up to speed, the port has been designated as the ADO for Oreille County. There are funds that go along with that come from Commerce. Those don't come directly through the county, but these are the funds, the 09 funds, public facility funds, that come directly from the county. And the discussion is that contract, what those funds are going to look like, what our reporting asks are from them, and the terms of that. And we've gone round and round a couple of times on different proposals. This is the latest draft from Dolly, whereby we did kick it back and limit it to just those funds that would be allowable under the personnel and wages portion of the 09 funds. The 09 funds we can spend those in two allowable areas, personnel and wages for economic development and public facilities. Where we were at last time, we were discussing the possibility of including both of those areas in this contract. I met with the port, I met with Dolly, I met with Jill. We redid this. This will include only personnel, and the 09 public facilities discussion will be a separate discussion. We need to create a procedure for that and a SOP for that discussion. With that said, I think the remaining part of this is one thing we could discuss is, are we okay with the reporting updates in this, as far as it's bi-monthly and the description of that? Then we would have to talk about the terms as far as the dollar value attached to it, and then the length or term. The port did reduce their ask, given that it's for wages. I want to say labor, but wages to $140,000. That is their ask. They did desire or express the desire that they wanted to leave room in there for other requests that would come in. So I am assuming that would include the wages of the economic development director they hired, and then some addition to other staff doing work for economic development. That's basically where we're at. So that's where we need to fill in. I want to give you an opportunity, Robert. I really want to give John an opportunity as well to see it, this latest draft. Get your thoughts on it, comments on it, questions before we take action.
Great. So regarding the first topic, separating out those funds, I read it, it satisfies my request. So thank you. Well done on that.
Okay.
On the welcome, Jill.
No.
Is there anything that you'd like to add before?
I think we could talk about this. This is the breaking out part. And that I was assigned to kind of give a process for that. Okay. So I have a sample draft here.
Okay.
And that's for the public facilities portion of it.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Brian's in charge of this meeting, so I'll let him.
Yeah, no, and that's great. And I just kind of gave an overview of that, Jill, that we're going to separate that process and create a process. And again, I would like to see us create a kind of a standard process for that portion of it, that would apply to whatever entity. Although that's going to require a certain hoops to jump for that process.
Right.
But that's probably a separate discussion.
Okay,
Robert, let's keep it
well, let's keep focused on this.
Yeah.
Has the court, here's what I'm thinking. I mean, after the last meeting, it seemed like, I thought what we were gonna do is have a contract come in for us to vote on. And I'm really leery of negotiating against myself and ourselves in a public forum,
Right.
given that each of us stated, I believe, what our positions were on the various components, in term, reporting requirements, and amount of money.
Okay.
And I find, I mean, I stated clearly, in fact, it's in the Newport Minor, where I was. And so and I had asked about participating in the process to figure out how the port got to its amount of money. That request was declined. So I'm really leery of sort of entering into I said this then, and I'm going to say this. I'd rather avoid that. And where I thought we were going was, you, in good faith, would negotiate on behalf of the county to come up with what you thought was the best the county could get, and then we vote on it.
Okay. And that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm looking for a consensus from, and I honestly didn't know John wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
So that I don't want to misrepresent your guys' view. Okay. And where we're going to be on that. So I wanted to have John have a chance as well to look at this before we take action on it. I mean, I can fill in the blank what I think and what I think is the best for the county, and we can take a vote on it. And that's the way forward.
Right.
I just want to give everybody an opportunity to have their say, and including John. And it's unfortunate that he wasn't here today, and I think we need to include him in that. But basically, that's where I'm at.
And I respect that.
Yeah.
What I submit for discussion is, if you have enough time to bring back to next, because time, we want to get this done. I want to be helping move it along, is to bring back for next week a contract that can be voted on by the Board of County Commissioners. I do have one question.
That was my thought.
Great. Separate from the points, on the legal points, has the court agreed to the form of this contract?
No, and the way this process has been outlined to me from our legal is, we're going to fill in our portions of it.
Okay.
It's going to go to the court. Their legal, I'm sure, is going to look at it,
Sure.
And then their commissioners are going to approve it.
Okay.
That's the thought I had before they signed it. So this is a process, okay? And there's lots of places that can get snags in them.
Sure.
I'm thinking it should be fine, but
Okay.
no, they haven't looked at it yet, and I'm thinking they will.
Okay. So from my perspective, we've agreed as to the process. We'll bring something to session next week, and it'll have the business points filled in. We'll vote on ratifying that, and then you'll take it to the court.
Yep.
And at that point, I mean, there's sort of, sure there'll be some, their legal counsel will review it as to form, and their commissioners will review it as to the business points, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that's the process, probably. And I was hoping that we would take a vote next week, but I want to include John in that vote.
I do too. I will commit to that. So Crystal, please get that on the agenda. I would like at this time, if my fellow commissioner is okay, Jessica Garza's on the line. Is there a welcome? Always good to see you. Are there any comments you'd like? Is it okay if I turn it? Okay, yeah. Please, Jessica, if there's anything you'd like to add, we welcome your comments.
My apologies. We have our board meeting happening right now. So I just finished my update to the board and wanted to hop in on this. So I didn't catch the first part of it, but from what I'm hearing is you're thinking an official vote next week on the contract? Okay, and we haven't seen a copy of that?
Yes, that's right there.
Okay. I don't have much to add. I just wanted to make sure we were present and I could hear what the update was and where we were going. So,
Okay, we appreciate your joining us. So what we've agreed to is that at next week's meeting, Brian will bring to us a completed completed contract that the commissioners will vote on, and Brian will then take it to the board and to you for your review and possible vote.
Yeah, and Jessica, the procedure going forward that's outlined from Dolly's office is that she would like us to come to plan of agreement on our side first, and then it will go and be presented to the port, and then you guys will have a time to see it then as well, and your legal can review it as well. Of course, I did go over these details with Kelly here a couple weeks ago. We all sat down and went over. I think we're getting real close.
Along with Dolly.
Yeah, along with Dolly. Yes,
Right. While we're talking, one request I would have is that since the amount of funds requested now, the 140,000, it's both a change from the 200,000 from a few weeks ago, and it's an increase from the request that was made in the response to a request for proposals. My questions would be, what is the money going to be used for? I heard you say it's sort of building in extra capacity. Why the change?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. This is why we had this meeting,
right?
Is to answer some of those questions, and I will find answers.
Very cool.
What I can tell you, what I know, is a portion of the time for the director of the port, and a portion of the time for the grant writer of the port will be dedicated to economic development activities. In fact, it already has been significantly. And those wages will be documented and applied towards 09 funds at that time that they dedicate to economic development activities. That doesn't totally answer your question. I understand that, Robert. Is why the change? I guess is exactly is the answer. It's that question.
Yeah, so. She did talk about how much time significant time she's already put in, and anticipates any time that they're going to document any time the grant writer or her or any other member spends on economic development. And then we built into the contract, when I talked to Dolly last, that they would ask for reimbursement for what their actual expenditures were. So it would only go up to that maximum amount. If they did not spend,
right,
have that much wages, we would only give them the wages that they actually.
Yeah, I hear that, and I don't want to belabor the point, but from my perspective, they made a bid. They had the ability to figure these issues out before submitting that bid.
Your question is why the change?
Yeah, why the change?
Okay. That's a fair question. Okay.
All right.
And remember that too, as well. It does, and I didn't point that out earlier, but this is a process where it's up to this amount. So they would present those and then be reimbursed for those wages in that time. Pending, I imagine, on their workflow. Go ahead.
I can't speak on the change for you because it happened prior to my employment. So I'm sorry that I can't provide you anymore because that was before I started.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right, shall we turn our attention to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
Okay, I didn't know if you want to discuss this today, but I just wanted to be prepared. The other part that was decided at the meeting was to break out the public facilities portion so that anyone could apply for it. So I just set out a process that would work in our county, and then Dolly had provided me with some forms that Lewis County uses, and they seemed quite appropriate for us too. So they were just an idea, but the first couple pages I prepared for us, what the process would look like at the start of, at the budgeting time. during the budgeting process, the Board of Commissioners would set a budget amount for the Public Facilities Fund to be designated for public facility project grants. And then the entities with projects that meet the criteria would be eligible to apply for those grants following this application process. So first, the project would have to meet all those requirements, and then they would have to be required to present the project to the ADO advisory board, because the RCW that says it has to be approved by the towns and the city, those are all represented on that committee already. So, and then if they supported the project and it met all the requirements, they would be eligible to apply for .09 public facilities grant. And the application, that was like kind of attached an idea of what it would look like there, the one from Lewis County that was further on. And then after they complete the application, it would go to the Board of Commissioners, and you would evaluate the project and fund availability for final approval for the .09 funds grant. Then the project process, of course, we'd have to add that to the public facility capital project element of the comp plan.
Right.
And the grant agreement contract would have to be signed. And then they would have to progress reporting to the BOCC as outlined in the grant contract. I imagine we would have, and reporting to the county auditor with required annual report information as outlined in the grant agreement. And then I just put the criteria of what the purpose and the public facilities definition.
Yeah, this is actually pretty important and timely. I mean, under public facilities definition, the second bullet point, water facilities, sanitary sewer facilities, and storm sewer. So
Yes,
yeah, you're thinking
it's a public
Yeah.
facility.
yes.
Yes, and then it's further defined down there with an attorney general's opinion about breaking down those projects into little pieces that you could fund.
Yeah, if you look on the page 3 or further in, Robert, it has a qualification checkbox and
Yeah.
domestic water facilities,
Yeah.
right there is
Right. So,
transportation, storm sewer and sewer facilities, sanitary sewer facilities.
yeah, so what Brian and I are having a meeting of the minds here is under the broad heading of Cusick-esque sub-area plan, water, wastewater infrastructure, that these funds could be used to that
Right.
effect.
So basically what that seems like a straightforward process. The limit would be how much you're going to designate towards those, what you have available to designate towards those each year. And then how you would prioritize if you wanted to set a date. That the things, to me, that didn't seem so effective, because sometimes things come up and maybe the deadline's already passed in the year and somebody wants to take this opportunity. So I didn't, that we can work out later, but that was my only piece that I kind of left out, how that would work. If you would all along the whole year, sorry, the funds are already gone, we've already given them out, or if you wanted everyone to have the equal, if it's not in by then, too bad for you this year. So that would be up to you guys, and I would put that in when you decided that.
Well, basically, we're looking at a grant process,
Correct.
and the requirement that would be meet the application requirements. It's a public facility. The entity would have to get approval from the ADO advisory committee to accomplish the towns and the broad community support. And then there would be an application that would come to the Board of Commissioners. We would have to approve it. Then is there at that process, after that, is this a direct award or is this a reimbursement?
Oh, that's a good question too.
Mhm.
We could do that however you guys decide.
Okay.
Also.
Okay, they could be that they've shown they've done the work and we reimburse it or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
could figure out, this was a rough draft, but I felt pretty good about, the process, how I outlined that.
Yeah, and just for my purposes, Robert, and I think that we should define and refine this process going forward. It isn't a huge amount of revenue left, but it might be. And it's not like we're going to fix major problems with this, but I think we should define the process and create a normal pattern for this process going forward. And I think that's fair to everybody, that everybody has the same pattern.
Right. And I'd like to narrow the scope of the use of these funds as much as we can agree on. And I'm thinking the kind of feasibility portion related to Cusick us. I mean, maybe, subject to a vote, but I'm thinking the more we can demonstrate that these funds are going to be used for
Your priorities.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You could prioritize that down in this year's grant priority is this. We're going to give.
And it says right there too on their one. A facility to me is an address first and foremost. It's a place, so it needs to be. And to me, by simple definition, it needs to be a public place, right? And a location. So I think we can do that. I think we can come up with that. Again, it's not a huge amount of funds, so it's not like we're going to have 13 different things that we're going to do with it.
Right. And then like if you attach your priority for this year, this we're given highest priority to this year. I have read before when I was doing that comp plan element, when I read that more specifically, it talks about the public facilities being county or owned places that also benefits, and because that didn't compute in my mind really. But that's part of it too.
And maybe I've simplified that process early on when it's in our budget.
That you make the priority then.
Yeah, that project has to be in that component of the comp plan.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're budgeting, I don't think the projects yet.
No, yeah.
So
right.
So that's why, and we can update that at any time because that was the resolution. So
that's right.
Once you've decided who that is, we can update that and present it for you again going forward, and then the contract happens. So that part's a simple piece.
And then one of the things that was brought to me in the questions from the board, and I think it's pertinent to whatever entity might do this, is the timeliness of this process and how long it would take. And that we refine it to where it can be somewhat responsive should opportunities come up, that that it's not going to be a long drawn out process, right? That there can be timeliness to it. As well as anybody, Robert, that sometimes 6 months is no.
Oh, time kills all deals.
Yes, and that if that takes too long, that means no. So we need to refine it enough that it has a certain amount of timeliness to it, and that's why I think we should refine it.
Yes,
that's
the new nimble and quick acting Board of County Commissioners.
Yeah, right. Yeah, as we've talked about this thing for the 13th time.
Right, exactly. Yes, hear you on that one. Well done. Good work as always, Jill. Okay. All right, Jeff Koffel, we do have an update for you. Yes, we have your invoice. Thank you for your patience, and the amount has been agreed to. And yesterday, Monday, in Pend Oreille County, Dolly Hunter, extremely effective prosecuting attorney, was requested by the Board of County Commissioners to prepare a contract to be submitted to you, and we will do that. So I'm very sorry that it has taken us this long. As I said a moment ago, the new nimble and quick acting Board of County Commissioners will be faster, but we will make sure that Dolly gets it to you. Your comments, please, sir.
Nope, we're just, that hasn't slowed up services. We never stop. So, however she gets it to us and whatever format it decides to take, whether it's a contract or an ILA, we're ready to respond and get that back to you as quickly as possible.
Very good. We will make sure that it's sooner rather than later. All right. Thank you all. Jessica, any thoughts that have come to mind as we've been talking that you'd like to share with us before we wrap up here?
I think I'm good for right now.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Jessica, Jeff, Jill. Wow, that was 3 J's in a row. Okay. Any final comments from my?
No, I appreciate this, Jill. That's excellent. Thank you for all you do. I really do appreciate it. I think that would be really helpful to define that. And again, I will just reiterate my thoughts. We should spend that money.
Yeah.
We should spend that money. And it doesn't do any good for us to hold on to those tax dollars that were taxed for the purposes of economic development. We just need to refine the process and do it in the highest, best way possible for the county.
I agree. And my editorial comment on this is, I mean, you and I have different thresholds for risk.
Right.
This is risk-oriented money, and I'm
It is.
happy to try and leverage it. This is 100-to-1 bet. I mean, this is one that I'm willing to take that bet.
Yeah, and I think this process is more a process of getting everybody to agree on the same risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Right.
okay. There's risks and everything.
Sure.
But I think we need to have that process and spend that money. And there's different thoughts of that. We could save and get more and more to a point where we're going to do something. But no, I don't think so. I think we should get it out in the community. That's
Agreed.
my thought.
I agree.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, anything that we haven't covered that we should cover? While we have people on the phone, could you just take a look at next week's agenda? So in fairness to
Tuesday afternoon at 1:30 or 2 o'clock is open.
anything Monday,
You could do Monday at 1:30.
that'd be my preference.
I have no real preference.
Monday at 1:30. Jessica, I want to make sure that's not a conflict for you. Or Jeff, if you want to tune in.
Let me check. I'm still trying to get a handle on the calendar here.
Commissioners, could I just make a quick comment on your RCW interpretation?
Please.
I applaud the idea to have a consistent plan. But just remember under 82-14-370, when you're identifying these projects, they need to be identified either in your comprehensive plan under the economic development section, or in the municipality who's asking for the money, or under their plan, or under your countywide approved economic development strategy. So I think that, when you talk to your municipalities and the EDC, you've got the chance for many projects to be listed that you can be responsive to without having to do direct action at the board level for each decision. And that's just my take on it.
Very good.
Great input. Thank you.
Very good, Jeff. It allows for a little more responsiveness because it's or in that.
Excellent. Thank you. Jessica, Monday at 1:30, does that work for you? All right. It does, Crystal. All right. We will schedule it next Monday, 1:30 for the contract vote. Thanks all for joining us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you. And Commissioner Rosencrantz, the veterans quilt went to Jim Bailey from the Medellin Falls Legion Post.
Oh, very good. Brian Smiley, Jim Bailey, Medellin.
I don't know, Jim. I don't think.
All right.
Shelley will have a press release out in the next day or so. We'll make sure you get a copy.
Very good. Oreille County wins again. Thank you.